What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our New York live session. Glad everyone is here. Good to see you all this morning. Everybody in a good mood. I like that. Hey, Dominic, I do appreciate that very much. Right back at you. You guys are all awesome. Glad to be here with you. All right, so we got about a 1 hour session ahead of us. It's going to be 1 hour today because after that, we're going to get on and just do a private CTM live training session. So we're going to make it a good one. Every minute is going to count. We're going to make sure that we get off and know exactly what we're looking at today, aware of what's going on, and make sure that we're positioned on the right side of the market. So we're going to start here with the S&P 500. Welcome, Jason. Glad that you're here with us. Boom, boom, boom. So S&P 500, right? So if you followed the last video last night, then you know that you should have taken profit right here on that long. We tried to position, or anyone that was looking to position yesterday during the live stream, short right over here, right? If you're paying attention to the analysis, right, what's been happening is this was clearly, guys, everyone be on the 8-hour time frame. Just make sure you're on the site right in the market by taking the higher highs and lower low. And you had a beautiful trade down to here. Then, nothing, not too much over here, right? But you stayed on the right side of the market. Then again, another nice trade. And now again, just getting out of the market, but a little bit of profit with only this right here. One loss. And more importantly, I told everyone, if we make the higher high over here, you have to get long. You have to stay on the right side of the market. That was made back right there in the next moment. Here we are right now. Where does that lead us is why this was all leading up to where we are right now. Should you have gotten short here? No. There's no way you should have gotten short over here. Why? Well, we just held this support over here, right? The risk to reward now is to the upside. This is below that trend line. You're wrong over here. But the risk to reward now is now towards the upside, where that's where you want to be leaning in as we are bouncing off that support, coming back now into this next area of support. If we resume up off of here, you want to be long. This is in my opinion. You want to be long. We are in a shortened holiday week. Thursday's last day of trading. We're in Tuesday, so today and tomorrow is like the meat of the week right over here. If you start resuming up, definitely want to be long. What about on the downside? You just want to stay neutral right now. You want to stay neutral, see when you resume up. If you resume up, and if you don't resume up, then you stay out of the market and out of the trade. That's what you're looking there right now on the S&P. If you look at it on the 3-day, over here, you could see, I'll clean that up a little bit. If you look at the 3-day over here, you could see, right, if we break down below this trend line, right, take out that low, then we have much more pressure here. But right now, it looks as if this support over here is holding. If you get a resumption upwards, you want to be involved in that resumption upwards. Boom, boom, boom. Would you take another test of the channel long? Let's take a look at it, by the way. Yeah, 100%. If right now, as this support area is holding, any resumption upwards, definitely taking. If we came all the way down into this trend line support, same thing. Looking for that to hold. Still very, very bullish over here. A pullback into that trend line is still something be happy for. And the resumption upwards. What happens if it breaks here? If it breaks here, I'm looking to go short. So I'm looking for this support to hold initially, probably price bounce back up, test that broken level over here. And then as it resumes out, that's where I would get short. If we get another little bit of a peak down below, right? Then I'm going to get, even if I get short on a false trigger, I'm going to get out of the trade quickly if we resume up. It's not until we break down the trend line and then confirm it as now resistance that I look to get short in that area. And that's when I think that we could see some further pressure. But right now, since going into the weekend, we were talking about this is the area to lean in over here. This is the area to lean in, and there we are. What's going on? Brad, what's going on, Brad? Brad, new site is up and running. It looks fantastic. Thanks for that. We switched the hosting last night, and now it's running super fast. Super, super happy. Awesome. Please mention levels. I try to be in the habit of mentioning levels, and I'll be better about that. Let's move over to Bitcoin right now. And boom, 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 boom. Bitcoin is looking pretty good over here. Still holding that 9,100 area and level strong now. It's been holding that now ever since the end of May. And here we are again right now. Now, I'm going to look at Bitcoin on the 3-day. All right. And you can see this looks nice over here. This looks nice over here. I think that any resumptions up and on the 3-day, I think that's more appropriate for the volatility in Bitcoin right now. It's much more appropriate. We are in the summer months now, and the next 6 weeks probably will see much less volatility. Anything could happen in today's world. We're here. We're still aware of it. Last 2 weeks of August, for sure, do not trade even one day. But here we are. And it's always a great learning experience, that's for sure. But coming back now to the 3-day on Bitcoin, you get a clearer perspective over here. If price starts making higher highs, is that a great entry point? I think so. Right? I think so. Do you have to be worried about Bitcoin breaking down over here? I'm not. This looks quite bullish over here. Same thing with gold, right? Same thing with gold. A lot of people now are looking for the pullback in gold, but gold is actually now breaking out. So the time for the pullback. I thought we were going to pull back further than 1670. Actually, we never did. I thought we would pull back further than 1670. I thought we were going back towards around 1640, maybe even 1580. That didn't happen. 1670 held. Do I think that we test that anytime soon? I don't. I think we tested it. I think we tested 1670. I don't really see that coming into place soon. Could it? Yeah. I would be dead wrong then. If gold were to break down below that 1670 level, all right, then maybe gold is going to have that bigger pullback. Maybe I'll be able to buy in at 1580. But right now, gold's breaking out towards, it's on its way towards 1800. Boom. Yeah. I mean, I like Bitcoin now. I do like Bitcoin now. People are talking about GBTC. I don't look at the GBTC chart because it's just tracking Bitcoin as best as it can, right? And so I prefer watching the Bitcoin chart and tracking GBTC on Bitcoin. But Bitcoin looks good, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner than later until we break 10,400. Now, could a wild card hit the market? Could I don't, we're not seeing that. Like the dollar liquidity problem seems to really be in check right now. I don't see that as a problem. That's the only threat that I see to Bitcoin, and I don't see that on the horizon. Let's look at the dollar. Yeah, Juan brings up a really interesting point when we talk about the difference between gold and Bitcoin. And obviously, for those that are new to the channel, like I love gold. I own gold. I own silver. For a long time, I've owned the physical stuff, right? But I prefer Bitcoin. And, one of the things about Bitcoin is that, there's 21 million of them. And yeah, you can't counterfeit them. They're easy to store. They're easy to transfer. It's better money than gold. No question about it. No question about it. Erwin, what's going on? Glad you're here. What will cause a breakout on Bitcoin, Brian? I have no idea. I have no idea. It's both the technical and fundamentals lined up over here. Like what caused this little breakout in Bitcoin over here? I mean, in Bitcoin and gold. I think for me, it was technical. It was all technical. Now this was abnormal. This portion over here was the crisis. And that was scary for the people that, anyone that was investing during that time. because I bought silver and I bought gold at I bought silver at 12,500. I think I sold it at 14. I didn't know what was going to happen from day to day during that period. It was very volatile with big moves. There's no question about it. Did I think longer term that $14 silver was a good entry? Yeah. Up here, people thought $14 silver was amazing. When it was back down at 12, that's a different story. You don't know if it's going down to 8 or not, right? That's the reality of it. I wish I would have obviously if just held that. I don't know how I got into that. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Catching up with you, Miguel. Glad you're here. 18 million of well, so that's a good point. When I said that there's 21 million Bitcoin, I meant there's actually 21 million Bitcoin in existence. But the so-called Satoshi coins have not moved since inception. So since they were mined, they have never moved. There's about 1 million coins attributed to that. So is the supply then 20 million? There's supposedly about another 2 million of coins that are just lost forever in hard drives, in landfills across the world that are just lost. So there's even less of a supply. But I think that is factored into the current price of Bitcoin. I do, because that's definitely a known by the market. So I do believe that. Yeah. I mean that would be an act of war, Oliver. I've always thought as an EMP attack, as if something like that were to happen, I would have to think that was a false flag operation. I don't think another country would set off another EMP outside of war with another country. What's going on? Light on Earth. Love the username. That's awesome. So it's already priced in, Juan. It's already priced into the market. The market knows about it. And here we are. That's something that, like the supply of Bitcoin and like those coins that are lost forever is factor in. Gold market has this factored in as well, I believe. Bad trade management. Boom. I don't know what that means. Yep. That's the thing about Bitcoin. Here we are this morning. We still have to get into the dollar. We still have to get into the euro Australian dollar. We have to get into the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and the euro US dollar. So we're almost there. We're good. Let me pause a second and go with this question over here. Is it possible to store Bitcoin in a way so only you know about it and can access it? Well, as far as only you know about it, probably not. Because your internet provider is tracking your IP address, what sites you're on, and they have a good idea of whether or not that you hold Bitcoin, and probably how much, right? So just assume that, because Bitcoin is not private. So just assume that anyway, right? And could they access it? No, they cannot access it. If you store Bitcoin offline in a hardware wallet, such as a Trezor, a Cold Card, or a Ledger, they cannot no one could touch it. It's unconfiscatable. Good morning, Utah. Good morning, Utah. Yeah, that's supply and demand in economics. And if there's only so I don't know how many millionaires. Does anyone know how many millionaires there are in the world? And if each one of them wanted to own a Bitcoin, there are definitely way more than 21 million millionaires in the world. So there's that limited supply. That's why rare art is a collectible because of the supply. So things like wine also. All right, so let's keep going over here. Afternoon. What's going on, Tom? Put it in port. Yep, that's a hardware. You could use a VPN. That's smart internet practice. 100%. All right, let's look at the dollar. And let's start here on the 3-day. The dollar kind of looks like it's getting close until we get into a resistance level over here. You can see it better on the 8-hour. We'll start on the 8-hour and then we'll move up. You could see this trend line over here. This is from the channel we were in. That's coming into play perhaps in a little bit. Right now, price is being rejected by the 97.90 resistance level over here. And aside from that, you got the strong resistance at 98.30. Where will we be the rest of this week? I assume it's hard to say, right? I assume that it's going to be somewhere in this area over here. And that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't see a major break above 98.30 happening right now. We'll see, maybe next week. And at this point, as we're coming into this resistance, it looks like we might have some sideways low volatility price action right now on the DXY. That's what I'm seeing. Well, let me check out the Euro Australian dollar, because this actually triggered a possible long last night. You could see the breakout of this trend line over here, right? It's a nice trend line over here. You got the nice breakout, and then you had the retest overnight, right? And then you could see that price has since then gone ahead and made a higher high. That would be a trigger. It's a trigger for me, right? So as far as where you put your stop loss now as you get into this trade, if that's your entry over there, you have a couple of different options. You have underneath the entry bar, that would be the tightest stop loss you could take, or you could have something pull back underneath the support over here, like at 1.623, right? That's probably the more logical area. You're wrong. You've given the trade enough room over here where it could roam, it could play out, and that's probably the better stop loss. A lot of traders would put the stop loss over here. That could, in a fast moving market, work out and be a good place to enter initially. But more often than not, you're going to get stopped out, and your win ratio will be a lot lower. So you have to be picking really, really good entries to do that. Let's see how many people we have in here today. We got 868 traders in here today. We're down off a good firm, I would say 18%. A lot of people did not agree with last night's video and the topic of discussion. It is what it is, But in a free and open society, everything should be able to be discussed. In a free and open society, everything should be able to be discussed. And we should not be told what we could read and what we could listen to. Right? What's going on? Yeah, that word specifically triggered a lot of people. A lot of people really did not agree with it. I remember my mom, and I'm playing with my brothers, being like, "What is this, World War III?" I didn't get triggered on her and be like, "What are you talking about? This is not World War III. It's a figure of expression." But is it? Is it really happening? Is there something wrong with discussing what's going on? And when something is wrong with discussion, then something's wrong with society. Here we are. Murray, a lot of the comments were, there was only 86 people liked it. I would assume that the normally probably 95% of the people liked the videos. So 85%, 86% of the people liked it, which means a lot of people didn't disliked it. But the comments were, how dare you? I felt like Greta was yelling at me, how dare you? Yeah, I didn't even know. So that's the other thing. I was really glad you brought that up, by the way. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was telling my wife last night, I didn't even realize it was a political issue. For me, it wasn't a political issue. Everyone on the channel knows since the end of January, we've been following the progress of the COVID-19. Back then we called it the China virus, right? Because it was happening in China. We were watching the Twitter videos coming out of China, and we were watching what was going on. We knew that was not normal, and we knew that it was spreading. And once it started spreading, we were looking at what was going to happen to the markets. We were there for the crisis. How many people saw that coming? We all did. We were all here. It's all on the tape, right? So that's the thing, though. So now when I'm talking about the COVID situation, I'm talking about it from that same mindset and framework. It's an actual event that affects. Well, first of all, that's why we stocked up on supply back in mid-February. All of us. That's why we stocked on supplies back then. We were ready. We knew what was the best way to protect ourselves and those around us, right? We knew if we weren't feeling well, we don't go out in public. We know to keep washing our hands. We know to take vitamin D. We know to go outside and exercise. We knew to be taking care of our immune system, right? So I didn't realize that all of a sudden today, when I talk about COVID-19 and the response to it by the people who didn't see it coming, by the people who thought it was no big deal, by the people who didn't prepare, right? And now, so if I talk about that right now, all of a sudden, that's political. Well, why wasn't it back then in January when I saw it coming? Why is it political now? It's not political. That's what if you want to understand the markets, right? That was with March, February, March, the trades. Jesse, I remember making some really good trades against the Swiss franc on Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. All of us were there. The trading was excellent. We were on top of it. It's exactly what's happening now. It's exactly what we're looking for. And that's if you are able to watch what's going on around you and be able to observe it from a pretty detached standpoint, how could anything anyone says around you trigger you or upset you emotionally, right? How is that possible, right? I don't know. Wirecard fraud. I'm not even interested in, to be honest. One day I would love to watch a well put together, documentary 1 hour on YouTube about Wirecard and what happened. But I'll wait until then. Before we get into the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, I do want to also look at a couple other things, right? A couple other things. I wanted to look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, right? You can see over here, Heath pointed this out to us all. Heath pointed out over here that and he said, be aware, it is summer trading right now, which it is, and understand the surrounding you're in. But look at this pattern here coming now to a possible conclusion. This looks like it's getting either ready to break above the resistance at 0.9412, right? Or it looks like it's going to break this trend line to the downside. And if it does, at that point, first you're looking at the support down over here around 1.9287. And then if it fails, ultimately lower, probably now we can move this line of support up to here. All right, so what else do we want to look at? Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We'll look at 1 second. First, let's take a look at the euro US dollar. And you could see the important lines to watch. Let me just even step back. Here's the 3-day. This is an important area to watch, this bit of price action, because this is coming off the resistance right over there, right? Watch that. A breakout above here could lead to a big move on the euro US dollar. This so far looks to be like a continuation pattern over here, but the steepness of this pullback is a little bit steep, right? So is it possible that we roll over? I mean, if we start making lower lows, right? If we start making lower lows over here, even during this holiday week, is it possible that the DXY is all the way to trade up towards the resistance at 98.30 during this holiday week? Yes, I think so. I think it absolutely is. I think it's also possible that the euro US dollar was able to trade all the way down into the support by the end of this week. Right now, as it's above this little area of local support, though, you want to be, you're neutral, leaning towards the bullish side over here. If you start getting a breakout, during the holiday week, I think I'd be waiting till next week to see something like that. Right now, I would just be looking for low volatility and just be aware of the range you're within. Boom, boom, boom. Joe, man, thank you. Yeah, that's what, and GP, by the way, I mean, I've been leaning ever since. I've been leaning towards the short side, not since all the way over here. This whole area, each time I've been leaning towards the short side over here on the euro US dollar. When you saw though this breakout over here to the upside, that right over here is when I got neutral on the euro US dollar. And now I'm just waiting. For that range to break. Once this range breaks, I should have a clear indication of what the next move is. And you could even see that right now we are making lower highs. So are we headed towards the downside? Maybe. But right now we're in a holiday week, consolidating between this range. US dollar, Mexican peso will get right after the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. So this is when we were looking at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. That's when we were looking at it, and we were talking about buying off the support over here, looking to going into a risk on week. I know over the weekend everyone was very risk off minded, but that's the markets are holding up pretty well, more than pretty well. The markets are holding support. They're holding major support, right? So, is this a place to go ahead and buy right now? And I don't know, right? You wouldn't be chasing price up like that. You'd be just chasing momentum. Does it look like it also is neutral going into the, right now? Yeah, it's kind of easy to tell when you should be getting involved. And right now, if you're not in the trade, then you should be on the sides. Let's check out the US dollar, Mexican peso. US dollar, Mexican peso is looking like it is trying to break this resistance here at $23.20. $23.20 pesos. Is it going to be able to do it? I don't know. It's you could hear the indifference in the voice when I look at the S&P 500. I mean, where do I expect we're going to be? Today is Tuesday. By the end of Thursday, I mean, it's kind of like somewhere in there. I do. Is it possible we went one standard deviation above to that? I don't think that's going to happen. Up into this resistance over there, somewhere in here. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. That's where we'll be. Does that mean that where it's going to be? No. Is it possible that we wind up going lower like this? Yeah, but that's not probable. And if we break the trend line over there, then we'll be looking for that extension to the downside. Do I think, at the same time we're going to be trading up like this? I don't think so. The markets don't seem that, they don't have that jump in their step right now, right? So, we'll see. We'll see. I forgot what, Thursday is non-farm payrolls. So what is the market looking forward to? Non-farm payrolls. What's it going to do before then? I think it's more like this. So why do I bring that up? Because we were just looking at the US dollar Mexican peso. So do I see the peso really breaking out over here? I don't think so. I think this resistance holds over here personally, and I think that as the S&P were to rise a tiny bit in that little bubble I was showing you, maybe this pulls back. Maybe this pulls back a little towards 2280. That would be something to look. I don't know. That's what I see on the US dollar Mexican peso. Yeah, let's take a look at the pound Swiss franc. All pound pairs became interesting this week as we were looking at the big moves on them. And then the question is like, well, is this a place to be looking to buy? And then the answer is, well, just out of habit, I don't buy things that are in downtrends. So that's the thought process last night, right? And that continues to be, I'm not looking to buy. Do I see that we're coming into possible support down here? Yep. Yep. Even still, go over here, watch on the upside, find out where you got strong resistance, right? This big resistance right over there. You're now in a downtrend looking to sell off resistance. And, in hindsight, if this turns out to be the bottom, right, and you start resuming up and you take out, some resistance levels and you keep making those higher highs, then you start buying supports. I don't know. It's going to be a wild one. That's a great question of what do you all expect from non-farm payroll? So we looked at it after last month's print, which was way better than expected. We saw that the Department of Labor put out a PDF, a statement saying that the data is wrong and they haven't been collecting it well. Why they were, they're just inefficient. And more so over Zoom, I guess. And so they were going to work out having more accurate results. What kind of number we'll get this time, I don't really know. I don't really know. I think that if we get a bad number, with these benefits running out, then all of a sudden the topic of conversation could become stimulus really quickly. And if it becomes stimulus really quickly, at that point, we could see a big rise in the markets. So I think bad news would be good news going into Thursday's number. What's my opinion on video games? Oh, I had a Nintendo when I was little. I used to play that like on Saturday mornings, but mostly Legos. Really like building with Legos, and so I mean I haven't had one in the house for I would say, oh my goodness, for probably like 25 years. I haven't I don't play video games, so. But my thoughts on Euro British Pound, we could take a look at over there. Yeah, amazing over here. I did not expect that the Euro was going to be able to break out above this this broadening pattern we were seeing over here, and it did with really, really strong authority. I think that why it's above this area here of 0.90729. I think that you're looking, now that it's broken out over here, to buy any pullbacks over here. So you could see right now, price would have made a higher high and reversed over. So that would have been a bad entry. But you probably wouldn't take the first little entry like that without getting the anyway. As you get a resumption off here, I think you want to look to the long side here over the Euro British Pound. Euro's been looking pretty moderately strong over here. Pound came under pressure last week once they said that there was going to be some type of perhaps easier negotiations between the UK and the EU. Euro appreciated strong on that, and the pound actually sold off pretty strongly on that. Right now, I think that as long as you've broken out over here to the upside, that you are now looking for pullbacks. You're looking for a resumption of the trend upwards, assuming that this line holds over here. This line of broken resistance holds as support, which it looks like it's going to do. Legos. No. I think we're range bound, and before we went range bound. We've been talking here for a little bit now, for a couple of weeks, about the fact that we were looking for a range bound market on here on the S&P going into the summer. I think we drew something like this box, right? Or we're somewhere over here, and I said that's where I think we're going to be. And as long as we're in this area throughout the summer, that makes a lot of sense. Be careful. It's not easy to trade such range bound markets. We've had the little bit of the volatility in them already, meaning, when in establishing the range, we had this sharp move down and then this sharp move up, and then we've had two pretty big moves, right? So the volatility has been pretty abundant. Let me try and get this up. The volatility has been there. So, as you wind down towards the bottom of this pattern now, it could lessen and lessen. It makes sense too when you think about that we're now entering July, right? And the next 6 weeks, outside of some major event, are summer months, right? So be careful. So, but it is as far as over the next couple of years, which the question was whether or not I think we'll be range bound. I don't know. To be honest, I would not be surprised at all if we were trading, in 2022 at 4,000, 4,100 on the S&P. That would seem right to me. There's a lot of money being printed. There's a lot more money coming. Generally speaking, that just inflates the equity. It causes stocks to go up. Now, do I think? By the way, but I don't think it. Even if this thing goes to 4,000, if this thing goes to 4,000, Bitcoin's probably going. I don't know. Is it going to hit $325,000 in that case? Probably. Where's the better investment? Where would you tell your mom to invest? Would you tell your mom to invest over the next 18 months in Bitcoin or in the Nasdaq? I would tell her in a heartbeat Bitcoin, and investing in the Nasdaq over the next 18 months was risky. It's very risky right now being long equities, I think. Yeah, and this one should continue to go on. Again, the crisis was over here back in March. That's when the crisis was back in March. By the way, how many people do we have in here today? 900. Everyone who's here, thank you for being here. And that's all I have to say. I didn't really mean to trigger anyone last night. That I didn't even realize it was political. That's genuine. To me, the coronavirus is not a political issue. That's a threat against humanity. Anyway, but either which way, it could happen. The fact that people are having that conversation and that you're paying attention to it is great. Because you want to be aware of all the possible scenarios that could happen. Then you're prepared. So that's awesome. I think that whatever range bound, I'm not following it, right? But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And the fact that people are having that conversation and then you're thinking about it, that's really good. You should be aware of also. If someone tells me Bitcoin's going to zero, I don't get triggered, right? I have done my own research. I have made my own conclusions, and someone else's opinion doesn't bother me. I don't understand why in today's world it's getting hard to talk about differences of opinions, or that if someone has an opposing opinion or viewpoint, they're automatically wrong and they're not entitled for that even to be discussed. But anyway, it goes back to this too. Mildog, definitely be aware of it. I don't think this is what happens. Again, I think 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, I think we're trading at 4,100. I do. So Daniel, we're going to be looking at that. Actually, we're going to be looking at that in the training program, which is starting about 40 minutes from now, right? 45 minutes from now. That's what we're going to be going over today, the true trend. But there is a video on the channel which gives a basic overview of it, Daniel, and you could just go ahead and add it from the indicators above. You could just go ahead and add the true trend. Just search true trend, and then you have the choice between the true trend BTC, which is using the 333 period CCI, or the true trend. It's using the 70 period and the 3 period CCI. By the way, I wanted to take a look at the S&P here with the true trend for you. Let's see what's going on over here. And you can see over here, the true trend is in this negative impulse over here. Now, I view, if I believe the S&P is going to be trading at 4,100, right, in 18 months from now, I view any downward impulses that are to come between now and then as buying opportunities. That's different, right, of how you normally would use the true trends for swing trading. That's not swing trading, right, when you're talking about an 18-month time horizon. So I believe that this crisis, which was a huge crisis, and the response was of enormous magnitude, I believe that was the crisis. Right now, do I believe that we're going to go ahead and make lower lows over here because of the second wave? Again, I tried talking about the first wave last night, which has not ended, and we're still in the first wave. And the ramifications that this is going to have on the economy is going to be enormous, horrific. There are a lot of people out of work. Those jobs are not returning. 41% of all businesses on Yelp went bankrupt, went out of business. Are you kidding me? Those benefits are running out. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Do I think the stock markets are going to crash? Or do I think the Fed is going to come in and just come ahead with an enormous amount of money? Well, whether it's the Federal Reserve, whether it's the U.S. Treasury, or just the government of the United States in general, I believe an enormous amount of spending is coming. The Treasury is sitting on $1.5 trillion going into the election, which means the majority, if not all of that money, is going to be spent over the next 6 months. Also, we're looking at things such as possible $1 trillion infrastructure projects. We're also going to see that mom and dad, your next door neighbor, people are going to need stimulus. They're going to need stimulus to be able to, no one's going to be able to pay their rent. People need money, basic income coming to a country near you. I don't even want to get into all the ramifications of that because, again, some people just don't want to have the conversation. They don't want to talk about what's going on. It's all directly related to the markets. It's all directly related to the goals that we're trying to achieve here in the markets and the lives we're trying to build. Either which way, I think that any opportunity over here is a place to lean into buy. Now that's not saying if over here why we're red, and if we break down this trend line over here, if we break below the 29.71 support over here, I do think we're going lower. I would allow it, and I'll be playing strongly the downside. At the same time, I will be looking to build into long positions, believing that we're going to see a reaction from the Fed and the governments, and it's going to be favorable for stocks. Oh, that's cool. I'm all about facts and science. And by the way, when you have a study produced by someone with a PhD that was paid for by a third party, that's not facts and science, right? For facts and science, you can't argue with facts and science. Roman, I'll check that out. Do you have the name of it? Trying to. So let's talk about toilet paper for a second. Back in February, I went ahead and bought, like, I don't know, 6 months of toilet paper. And I said to myself, well, we're going to use it anyway, right? We're going to use it. So even if we don't, but why was I doing that? What made me think to buy toilet paper and stock up on toilet paper of all things? Yeah, it's important to be able to get, whatever. The utility for toilet paper is there, but there are other more important things in that type of emergency I should have been thinking about. And why was everyone, right? We had Donald Trump is that true? Donald Trump on the cover of the economic magazine sitting on a throne of toilet paper, right? I felt like I was programmed. I felt like I was a bit programmed there. What caused me to go ahead and act like that? So ask questions, question everything, right? No. Matt, no. Here in this group, all of us were stocked up on supplies way before the shelves were empty. That was the whole point. We saw it coming. So we slowly prepared over a 6-week period. We didn't go out and just buy everything at Walmart, right? Over a 6-week period or longer, we were slowly stocking up, including N95 masks. We saw this coming. That's what I'm getting at. So when today all of a sudden I'm not supposed to have this conversation, that doesn't make any sense to me. All of a sudden it's political. This is not political. But my questioning is why, even 6 weeks earlier, before everyone was out there emptying the shelves, why was I stocking up on toilet paper? I mean, I have to ask that question to myself. Are we looking at the Euro US dollar? Yeah, Jason, we've looked at the Euro US dollar. Euro US dollar is consolidating right now. You can see it consolidating. Look at all these notes over here. But look between this line over here. Let me clear it up for you. I wish there was just a button I could press to get this clear. Jason, you're looking here at the US dollar. These two blue lines is where we're consolidating between. This resistance level up here, the upper resistance here, is a big level. That's a big trend line that if it breaks, there should be a big extension towards 16 cents. Now on the downside over here, if we do lose this to the downside, then of course we're looking at possibly even going into the holiday, looking at a test of the 1.11 support. So that's Euro US dollar. Was it the end of December? I try to say, Jesse, like the end of January just to be a little bit like, because people think I'm crazy when I tell them we saw it coming. People think I'm crazy because no one saw it coming. Everyone, when you talk, we all saw it coming. To us, it was all obvious. I don't know any survivalists. I live in Mexico. There are no survivalists here. I don't know any people like that here. I don't associate with any people like that. I associate with all of you and my family, right? So I have my family and then all of you. So that you guys are my that's about it, I'm checking out these comments. I appreciate them today. I mean, listen, but by the way, I mean, there's a real virus. There's a real virus, and people are dying. We've had friends and we've had family lose family. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Pat. And the only reason I bring it up, I'm not bringing it up to be like I saw it coming. I'm bringing it up because last night I was not having a political conversation. I was having the same conversation we've always been having, and that's about how this virus affects our lives and the economy. That's all. Yep. You have to be able to separate politics from facts. 100%. 100%. Nice, Luke. Nice positioning for yourself. So let's talk about right now at this important time of what I believe is going to happen when we're talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin together, because we are entering a very bullish phase over here in the cryptocurrency markets, right? Let me get rid of the true trend over here. This is a chart going back to the last all-time high on Ethereum and Bitcoin. And you could see that in a way. It's also following the chart of Bitcoin itself. That looks like the chart of Bitcoin, right? You could see that's when we broke the $6,000 low in Bitcoin, came down in, put a low in, retested it. This looks exactly like the chart of Bitcoin. And which way is Bitcoin headed right now? Right? If we look at Bitcoin, everyone knows, but let me just show you. There's that same chart, right? There was the 6,000 when we broke 6,000. It's the same exact chart you're looking at, and Bitcoin is about to go up, right? It's about to start its bull market. I've looked at that before it started happening. I started preparing everyone. I would say, well, back in October when I started preparing everyone for the coming bull market in Bitcoin, that's coming right now, right? This is when I've always said it will be starting, and here we are. But so you should expect that Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin, or at least I do. There's a lot of talk right now in the space, and it's all about decentralized finance. You're seeing a lot of VC companies now actually doing token sales of this DeFi, and you're seeing that is becoming like, where private money is attracted to right now. That's what you're going to see being pumped out. You're going to see all the YouTubers talking about. It's going to be all the latest buzz, changing finance forever. And that's kind of like usually bull markets run on some type of narrative or another. The narrative is not what makes the bull market. The bull market makes the narrative, right? And the bull market's coming. A narrative will come. Probably going to see some speculation and some really strong price appreciation on Ethereum. versus Bitcoin. At the same time, I prefer to own and or trade Bitcoin, and take in a leverage position of like 3x or 2x on Bitcoin, as it's here looking for anywhere between what could be a 10 and 35x over the next 18 months. Seems to be like a much safer speculation than taking an Ethereum position. Yeah, what during 9/11? I was living. I had my own lease financing company, and 25 years old, and I was about 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. Yeah, obviously a lot of my friends were in the city that morning, but I was about 30 minutes, 40 minutes outside of Manhattan that morning. Yeah, so let me wondering why I moved to Mexico. Yeah, I moved to Mexico for family. That's correct. Mexico is not safe. That's correct. I love Gold Rush. I love watching Gold Rush. All right, mining's hard work though, Nate. Hard work. Brazilian people are beautiful. It's so nice. I have many good friends that are Brazilian. Yep, there it was right there, Anthony. It was when you saw what was happening. Exactly, exactly, exactly. That's it. Anthony nailed it right there. That's why. Exactly why we knew what was coming. It's awesome. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, I think the general sense we're getting, and you can tell by our conversation here in the markets this week. We're in the summer, July 4th weekend. Markets looking for Thursday's non-farm payroll, kind of in a holding consolidation pattern, and just kept everyone on the right side of the market, which is the only thing to do right now. And if you start making higher highs over here, again, I think you have to take the long. And again, not looking to take the sell side here, not looking to take the sell side here at all. But if we make the higher highs we spoke about earlier this morning, you want to be on that side of the trade, and you want to just protect yourself to the downside. You don't want to be taking the sell sides, but you exit the trade if you're wrong over there. So as far as the pound Japanese yen and what that means, boom, boom, boom. Again, I mean, pound Japanese yen looks like we're into some area of support. It looks like we're in some area of support down over here. I don't think that we're entering a risk off period throughout the next 6 weeks or so. I'm leaning the other way. I'm leaning that we're going to be mildly buoyant, and because of that, I have to lean towards the pound. Maybe this might be a place to buy the pound Japanese yen if you're able to break above that resistance right over there that it's in right now. And the next move is up. Is this where I want to focus my capital and attention? It's not. It's not. Do I think that we're going to see risk off come into the markets and that this breaks down over here? I mean, it's possible if that's happening, though. I think the trade is, if you're seeing risk off come in the market, you want to be looking here at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? This is what you want to look at, a breakdown of this trend line or that support. That's probably a nicer trade to focus in on, in my opinion. Oh my goodness, the earthquake last week was so scary. We weren't in Oaxaca. We weren't in Oaxaca when that happened, which is where it hit, but we felt it. I got motion sickness from it. It was the second worst earthquake I felt. Yeah, we're in the first wave, Matt. We're in the first wave, and it's gone on longer than I expected. It's gone on longer. Why did we see a resurgence? Is it because places opened up too soon, or is it because people were having large gatherings. You know, I don't know. Either which way, people were not smart and people were not safe, and the U.S. is seeing a longer first wave because of it. We need to watch what happens. Again, Spain, watching Italy. If they see a resurgence in the virus come the fall, that will be the alarm system to me. And if that happens, watch what will be happening. We'll probably be looking to build up big risk off positions. It'll probably be in the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, and it'll be against the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. We wait and we're ready. But that's not happening right now. So that's all right. It's an ever evolving picture. We're trying to. Yeah, I'm not even sure, Gene, and I would be interested to know that. If anyone has a good video explaining how that works, I would like to know. Yeah, it's. I mean, they're not competing. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin's competing for money. Yeah. No, Lemmy's 100% right. There is the possibility that the stock to flow model fails. There's the possibility that the last two halving cycles of Bitcoin don't work out to this time to play or resemble that. That's a possibility that I believe, especially in this environment. First of all, listen, he was late to the party, but he's there. Paul Tudor Jones is buying Bitcoin right now. Think about that. This is a legend. Obviously, everyone knows the technical analysis of Paul Tudor Jones. But like me, not only is he a technician who takes the trades off the charts, but he also pays close attention to fundamentals. He knows that this environment is the environment that Bitcoin and gold are created for. And he's betting big on Bitcoin over here. Listen, the potential to the upside on Bitcoin is much greater than it going to zero. If you're talking about something trading at $9,000, has the possibility of going to $230,000 or zero, and it's trading at 9,000, right? It's an asymmetric bet. It's going to zero or it's going to 3,000. The odds are Bitcoin, which has been around for 10 years, has been told this time it's different. This time the bull run is not going to happen. This time is different. This time it's going to zero. Blah, that's been said every day for the past 10 years, but Bitcoin, it keeps being Bitcoin. And the bet right now, at this timing, there's not a better investment that you can make in the next 18 months, period. Nothing even close. And when I say that, will Ripple outperform Bitcoin in the next 18 months? There could be a portion during that 18 months when it is, even by a large margin, but I'm not going to invest in XRP, right? So is XRP the better investment just because it has the better return? No, it's not. It's not the better investment. The better investment is the one that is safer. Yeah, I have orders in at 85 and 82. Right here, the support down here. I have orders in at 85 and I have orders in at 82. Do I think that I've been saying since I got filled on my last two fills down there that I don't think I'll get filled again. I placed those orders when we were around, somewhere in this range. And I said I don't think they'll get filled, but I have them there in case they do. So that's exactly how I feel right now. Listen, everyone, I'm going to call it a morning. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, same time. We'll take a look at the markets. I hope you enjoyed this session. I know I really, really did. I was a little bit nervous how everyone would feel. I mean, some people were really upset yesterday just for the fact of even mentoring World War III. Listen, it's never my intention. It's never my intention. But the part that was lost on everyone last night was the analysis shared in that video. I spent a lot of time putting that video together. I thought I was putting together a video that everyone was really going to like. And if you look at what was shared in that video, if you followed that video last night and then were trading the S&P yesterday, you were money and you were good to go, right? Anyway, everyone. I didn't mean to offend anyone. That's for sure. All right, everyone. I'll see you in the morning. And the music, right? But the music in the morning for sure. Before we get started in the live stream, I get the idea that people don't want to see music. Anthony, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. I get people didn't like the music in the analysis video. That's cool, but I like trying new things. That's what you got to always be open to trying new things. All right, everyone. I'll see y'all later.